Hi everybody and welcome to the Jess Plus Scott Plus You show. And I have to tell you, I enjoy every single show that we do. It brings a new flavor of life and personality and perspective into the thoughtful conversations that Scott and I have. And we are so glad you're here to join us after a long work day, after you've had dinner and you're winding down for the evening or gearing up to do some work or whatever you happen to be doing. I have to admit, I wanted to think about how to start today's show, and so it took me a while, and then it came to me, and it was brilliant. I am a 12th man of Seattle, and so if you could see my whole t-shirt, there would be a big number 12 on it. I will be wearing my jersey on Sunday. And I also found an article over the last couple of weeks from the Wall Street Journal about the Seattle Seahawks, and it's how they air their grievances, and it makes them stronger. It takes a lot of courage to stand up for what you believe in and know that something that matters to you is important enough to share with others, because each of us have our own unique voice. And when we show up that way and we're able to say something and we're able to speak in a way that will support our place in the world, it creates ripples that go out into the world. And that frankness, and that it might be seen as curtness, or it might be seen as, a little bit of skirmishing, doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things, because the honesty is what wins out. And that's how this team is growing together. And what does that have to do with adversity? That's right, baby. Wilson! Thank you. We'll do that. I'm actually a Lynch girl, but I'll take the whole team. It takes the whole team. It takes the whole team. When we're talking about adversity, it really is important that we think about that, how our voice matters and how we take care of ourselves in addition to being able to support the situation that we're in. And I can't wait, after we do our open, to introduce you to our guests.
Okay, Jess, take it away.
Brilliant. And I'm going to just totally jump right back in. So, football fan or not, if you've never overcome adversity, you kind of got the wool over your eyes, and we're hoping that we can let you know, even if it's simple as worrying in the morning if you're going to have time to take a shower, any new mother or father, sometimes right before finals, sometimes right after finals. We all have been in those situations where there's so much stress around us in some fashion that we go, can we actually do this? And we are talking to three amazing people who, yes, not only have they done it, they are now an inspiration for everybody that they come in contact with and the support that they provide to their communities. And there's a lot that we can learn from them and enjoy a thoughtful conversation with. So, just starting this evening, I want to start with William Rock. Will you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Fantastic. William Rock, chronic pain survivor, living through the pain with CRPS, and I've been doing that since 1998 when I was injured. Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Thank you. All right, Roxanne Davenport, please say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Roxanne Davenport. I have epilepsy since I was 8 and started. They stopped for a while, started back up when I was 22, and a lot of things happened throughout that, and finally wanted to speak out. So came to GPlus and started a community. Haven't stopped talking since. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you for being here. All right, Casey, and I'm going to say your last name for the first time on air. I probably should have done this before the show. Is it Quinlan?
Quinlan.
Quinlan. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Casey Quinlan, everybody.
Hello, also known as the Mighty Mouth, or Mighty Casey, or any of the above. I wear a lot of hats, but for the purposes of this discussion, I was a family caregiver, and I am a journalist, and I now am the author of a book about managing medical care from the perspective of a cancer patient, because I got a cancer diagnosis a couple days before Christmas in '07. And in the time since that diagnosis and successful treatment, I have become a now, for my sins, globally recognized voice for the patient in healthcare around the world.
Fabulous. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here with us tonight. You know, and the title of our show is Adversity. And I'm curious today, and I'd love to compare and contrast your experience today when you think about adversity compared to, if you can, and I know 8's a long time ago, Roxanne, compared to before you encountered something that you really had to step up to and figure out how to overcome. What was the before and after, and how do you look at adversity today?
Oh, wow. Well, wasn't, I guess, bad for me in school because the kind I don't fall to the floor and shake, I just stare, but I didn't have a problem with it throughout school. So only people I was friends with knew, nobody else. And the teachers, of course, parents of my friends, but started having a problem after I was 22. And that's what went along with my job, worked at the hospital, had to take call, and having to quit driving is when everything started to really go downhill.
So when you look at adversity, so let's say today, the Roxanne, and I'm going to ask the same question of you, William, and you, Casey. How would you define adversity today in your life?
In my life, adversity, I want to open up, well...
Mm-hmm. Everybody can jump in. This is the conversation.
Well, okay, well, the kids today, I guess, they need to know to stand up, because the further older you get, it's not, I hate to say, for some people it's not going to get any better, because they don't know what they're going to have to, they don't know anything about epilepsy, so they don't know how to handle you, because we're not different. We just have different way we deal with things. So if younger kids now know what they'll have to go through when they get older, then they'll be better at it, dealing with it than the people that don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Making them stronger now with people that'll make fun of them, because I didn't get made fun of, that if they do, make them stronger now, because it's horrible in work what I had to go through to open my eyes to speak out now. What I had to go through with work was worse than school.
I can only imagine. Oh, I can only imagine. Because as adults, it's really interesting. It's like the older we get, the sometimes, and it's not, I don't think it's on purpose. I don't think we realize that we can all be susceptible to how cold and unsympathetic we can be, even when we, in general, when overall, as a society, I do believe that we all have good and we all try to show up and support each other. But it still kind of comes out, because until we're in the situation and we know and experience it, we don't know how to process it any more than if we were the one, you know, whoever, us and our own obstacles versus somebody else and their own obstacles. Yeah. All right. Add to that, William and Casey.
Go ahead, William.
Well, basically, as far as the last portion of your question or the first part of your question, as far as before the injury, or?
Well, I'm curious about, I'm mostly curious about how adversity, what has your thoughts towards adversity and how you define it in your life, has it changed or is it still the same?
It's changed dramatically. You know, when if I go back before I got hurt, I was a firefighter. I was a ski instructor. I was an adrenaline junkie. I was jumping off cliffs on skis. I would jump out of helicopters on skis. But at the end of the day, I had a passion for what I did, and I was going to college for fire technology and becoming a paramedic. And I had a totally different path for my life than I have now. I'm a computer geek. But blowing out both my knees, saving a 4-year-old child from hitting trees, kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things. I could no longer go to college and go through the rest of my degree. I could no longer be a professional ski instructor and get my associate's degree in teaching special ed as well as children. So a lot of different things, but then now I look at it today and I'm very appreciative to my upbringing and opportunities that employers have given me. Now, not everybody has done that, so I've had my share of, well, he's disabled, he can't climb a ladder, he's a computer engineer, but he can't run cable. Little things like that made a big difference, and I was not given a chance. But then I did get an opportunity when I moved back from, well, long story short, I got a bunch of different opportunities, and I've grown from it. And I think that with everybody else that has a disability, we do have to conquer a lot of different things and juggle a lot of different things, but we're stronger for it at the end of the day.
So what I think I hear you saying, William, and Casey, if this resonates with you, if you could chime in on it, and that is that at a particular point you have made friends with whatever adversity that you might have run across, and as a result, ... and I'll let you first of all agree or not with my premise, and if you do, fill in the blank.
Well, Casey is going to jump in here and say that in comparison, I look at this and it's like I've led a charmed life. Well, other than the fact that I think that part of my upbringing was being the new kid, regularly, every year or two. And that's a great way to sort of learn how to, never get too comfortable, because things are going to change, and just be ready, and be ready to roll with it. Empathy is, and my parents were both very empathetic people, and without being, idiots about it. I mean, neither one of them was, Mother Teresa or the Pope, but at the same time, both of them were very empathetic people, and pressed us. I have siblings, pressed us to make sure that we always understood, what the other person that we were looking at was going through, so that we would not make it, judge not lest ye be judged. And as a result, I have led a charmed life. I have done a whole lot of very interesting things. I've also had a marriage where I was beaten. Not regularly, but enough to keep my attention, and that was instructive. I had a cancer diagnosis, which certainly will get one's attention. But to give you an idea of my perspective tonight, and I didn't really think of this as prep for the call, but it kind of I think. I watched a documentary on HBO called Night Will Fall. That today is the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. And Night Will Fall is sort of a recreated documentary of British military cameramen shooting the liberation of Dachau, of Auschwitz, of Bergen-Belsen. And the movie was put together by, initially the script, etc., it was never fully produced, by none other than Alfred Hitchcock. But politics got in the way, and the entire movie was never really put together. But now this HBO documentary, and you want to talk about overcoming adversity. Like I said, I look at that as like, oh yeah, I've led a charmed life. I have no problems at all. So that to me is sort of that coping strategy, where yes, we all have stuff. There's all, and I on this panel probably have less than the others. But if I have any talent at all, it is the one that was given to me by my parents, which is walk a mile in the other guy's moccasins to understand how they feel, and then figure out how you can help. Because if you're helping somebody else, you're kind of stuck in your own head.
Okay, jump on that, Roxanne.
Well, being my age and not driving, having to rely on other people and work around their schedule, things like that, it can get upsetting, believe me. But I have to bring myself down and say, wait a minute, it's just one thing that I cannot do. I think of everyone else, other people that have epilepsy, some of them, there's some people that can have 300 a day. Mm. And I have to stop and think of that as like, wait a minute. I don't want to say things that sound bad, saying that my life is much better. I don't mean that in a bad way. but that can make me feel thankful, because it's just that, well, what's with driving? I have Google now. I can have Hangouts. But then that's a way that I look to get more people to know. That's just how I have to talk about it.
That's great. And you brought something up that I think is really important that we talk about. You brought up a little bit of our societal conditioning to be second, and how that is actually impacting in some capacity at some points when we're facing adversity, whatever our story is, whatever our mountain that we have to climb at that moment is. How do we get up that mountain and still, when in addition to everything else, we've got that societal pressure to be nice, to step back, and to keep everybody else first? How did you get past that to be able to say, I put myself first? And that's for all three of you.
I call that airplane rules. You know, the thing they say, put your own oxygen mask on before you put the kids on? Look out for yourself, because you can't help anybody else if you're not able to breathe. So,
right. That's true.
So do what you have to do to make sure you're breathing, and then you can help others.
And yet, each of you in your own ways have taken a path of being an advocate for others. So it's not just that you are, you're self-centered. You're also outward-looking. Could you comment on that? Or not?
Well, I mean, I would probably take that one as far as, are you talking about like outward stuff as far as other donation charities that we support, maybe?
Well, each of you have either started a nonprofit organization, or you go to bat for those whom you've already gone around the block, and so there is a certain amount of knowledge that you've gained or experience, and now you're helping new people along the way, each in your own way. For example, Roxanne, I believe that you've got a support group that you lead.
I do. I try to have hangouts, but mostly they come to me separately. I talk to them. I try to answer questions as long I know as much as I can about epilepsy, neurology, everything, because being in the medical field, I know all the terminology, but my ebooks and all of that are journals. They're not novels. They're all medical. So I try to help them that way. If they just want to talk to me, come to me. But the way I speak, I go to Congress. I write letters. One of these days I would like to climb the steps and, I don't say protest, but I want to be heard. And
you want to speak in front of Congress on something. That's fabulous.
That's called testifying, honey. Go testify. They can from you.
Well, I have had a letter read to Congress by my congressman on the ground floor. So, I'm sorry. I'm just so happy.
You have to say that. That's awesome.
That's super.
So I will write a letter. I call. Every time I get something online from the Epilepsy Foundation that something needs to be done, I do it. Because it's what happened with me that really made me go more forward into this with my wreck, having a wreck because of the medication they changed, and with my daughter getting hurt, that's what made me step up and say something needs to be done. So I got to it, and things got done.
And that's cool. Okay, so we're talking about priorities, right, Scott?
Priorities. And you had a story to tell, and it was compelling, and it was genuine, and it was authentic. So you step out on the limb, and you confront the status quo in a particular way. And then have any of you received any pushback? Have you thought, okay, this is a virtuous cause, and I'm going to go forward, and then all of a sudden, someone slaps you down? And if that's happened, how does that relate to what you decide to do next, and who you are and what your path is?
I don't think I've been kind of knocked down with anything. I think it's been more questions like, Roxanne was talking about, answering individual questions. And I do a lot of that with chronic pain people when I'm an advocate for multiple places and different boards out there on Google Plus. But what I try to do is really think about, how can we help them as a charity. We always have different things that we can give to them, like we can donate our time, we can do different things. For myself, it's donating my brain. I can't physically do anything, but at the same time as I can donate my marketing knowledge and help them to reach more volunteers and other donation sponsors for their charity in a different way by using Google Plus and being able to teach them analytics and kind of the stuff I always talk about on a daily basis. But that's kind of how I like to give back at the same time as I work directly with a lot of the chronic pain patients. But what I also find, and I think Roxanne, others have said, that I don't look at it as I'm the worst off. I look at it as I know a lot of people way worse than I am. And I talk to them on Google Hangouts where we're basically, they've got a little tripod and they've got their iPad and they're in a hospital bed, and they're still able to participate with us and talk with the rest of the group, and everybody's in a private room. Nobody's in fear of actually, anything exposed. We can have a real conversation about, pain or, something they're going through. They're changing their meds, and now they've got to go through a detox. Maybe they've not gone through one of those before and are kind of in fear of what that's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of an underlying theme that I've heard, I think, from maybe all three of you, is a virtue or an attitude that I think is underrated, and that is an attitude of gratitude. And I'm wondering if that resonates with any of you, and if you might have anything to say about that.
Well, Casey here. I think that that's sort of the central thread in the conscious part of my life. We can all end up defaulting toward screw this, life sucks, life stinks, whatever. We can all get there on any given day, but ultimately, I really think that any of us who manage to survive a thing, Roxanne surviving a seizure disorder known as epilepsy, William going from an extremely active and proactive life to one that is seriously curtailed by circumstance that, there you go. You get issued a set of circumstances that you can't necessarily do anything about. And I'm grateful for everything from learning how to manage end of life by helping my parents do that, to the experience of rising above a horribly disastrous abusive marriage, to cancer, to just the usual slings and arrows of the day. I honestly think that it's up to us who have been through a thing and are willing to talk about it, to tell other people that whatever it is that you're going through, a problem shared is a problem infinitely reduced just by that sense of community that you get from from talking to even just one other person who gets what you're saying. Because at that point you can relax and know that you're not alone, and that other people can help lift you up if you get to a point where you're really, you're down in the depths and you can't get out. Because we all end up there, and I think the longer you live, the less depression is sort of prevalent. But again, for people who are chronically depressed and live with that all their lives, it's actually better to try to share that, to try to unburden yourself, rather than going the way of my second ex-husband, who ended up dying probably 25 years younger than he needed to because of choices. So there you go.
Well, okay, choice is a really strong word, and I think maybe after we come back from the shout about, we should talk about that, because it's our choice to show up or give up or keep trying, or whatever our word is in that moment. And I think that's a very powerful way to come back to the conversation. Anybody watching, you out there, the U and the JSY, we are talking to Casey Quinlan, Roxanne Davenport, and William Rock, and we're going to take a short segue into the shout about, and we'll be right back.
1, 2, 3, 4, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again, yeah. I look into the sky with all the beautiful color, but there's more than just a piece of sunshine.
There's a line from Alice in Wonderland that I want to share with you. I used to spend 30 minutes a day thinking the impossible. Okay, why would we think the impossible? What allows us to really jump out into the unknown? Well, first we have to have courage. And we have to have courage to get out of bed every day, so you got that. Then we have to be willing to take the time to step out of the flow, which is really fast, to be able to think and have some time. Now why? Why dream big like that? Because by taking time to dream big, we can polish concepts and ideas, we can build a proof of concept, and then we can act. And in that action, we can serve others. So let's talk a minute about polish. We're talking about conversation. The idea of having a conversation with somebody else to build an idea, figure out what it means. That brainstorming gives us a bigger insight to what we're trying to do, what we might be doing. Now, sometimes we want to go really fast, and sometimes we don't want to go really fast. Whatever path we choose, doesn't matter. Either way, the idea of conversation is going to keep our creativity going, and it's going to allow us to keep dreaming and see what's possible, even if we don't reach for it today. But most of us are reaching something today. We're reaching toward what we are here to do, our big why. The why are we here, what are we doing, and when we work, why are we working? Because we work for more than money. Granted, money makes the world go round, and that's how we are able to pay our bills and put food on the table and do the things that we want to do. Yet, in that cycle, there's a reason that we're doing what we're doing. It's something that comes from our heart that says, hey, we're really excited about this. So after we've got this idea and we've talked about it, we might end up inadvertently with a proof of concept, or we might purposefully work toward a proof of concept. And once we have that proof of concept and we have those successes and the testimony, and we see that what we are doing truly does serve other people, we can take action. We can take action to package it. We can take action to market it. We can take action to talk about it even more and put it together in such a way that does allow other people on a larger scale to find your product and to benefit from its core purpose. I'm Jess Toole, and I work with company leadership who feel the pressure to perform, and they want to set the standard, and that you want the impact of your work to extend far beyond the company.
$1 million like a kid to pay dirt. Gonna smile from ear to ear, the kind that makes a face hurt. And we'll laugh, jump, sing loud, not afraid to shout about being happy, living it out. Take a look and see a beautiful morning.
Okay, Jess.
We were talking about choice right before the shout about, and with us in our conversation at the Jess Plus Scott Plus You show, as we are talking about adversity, is William Rock, Roxanne Davenport, and Casey Quinlan, the mighty Casey. When I was doing research for the show and preparing, there was a story that I thought, and there are many, many stories. This just happens to be one that was new to me. So you may have a different story, and this may be old news to you, and that is, about J.K. Rowling. She was a single mother with a young baby who left her house and she was on assistance from whatever they have in London and the UK. I am unfamiliar with their help system. But she kept getting turned down and turned down and turned down. She knew that this was in her heart and in her soul to deliver to the world, and she never gave up. She never, ever gave up. And that was her choice. She could have made a different choice, and she chose not to. And in that choice to continue pursuing, who knows every step of the way what type of mini adversities it took to overcome this large adversity of being published. But we all have that every single day. And I love how Roxanne and Casey and William are sharing a little bit about that. So when we think about choice, we have the choice. How do we approach this? Do we approach it with a fixed mindset? Do we approach it with an opportunity, thinking about opportunity, or I think it's called a growth mindset, and how that really allows us to shift our life and what we do. And I would love to hear input from you guys. Everybody's so polite.
I'll go first.
Go ahead, William.
I think the hard part is, I don't know if we ever get through we go through our stages. We go through what we have to go through in the time to get past what we need to get done, and then something else is going to actually come up. Like for me, even the show. I took a nap prior to the show because otherwise my body won't allow me to do a nighttime show. Normally I don't answer the phone after 3 o'clock. And so all of my clients know that after 3 o'clock I'm probably going to send you the voicemail or send you a text message. But it goes in its ups and downs. Like you can take last year, for example, when I was probably not as well off as healthy-wise as I am now, but I'm forcing myself every day to take a 1 mile walk. But that's for me, and that started with me. But I think, going through the struggles, we're still going to go through the struggles. It's just how do we get past them every day? And then how do we get past them in our head? Because, mentioned on the show, it's, you get into a mindset, and that mindset will take you in a whole different direction, and you could destroy everything. Your career, you could destroy your family. You push everybody away from you because you feel trapped in your own self. I don't know how else to say it, but you're there. But you're in so much pain that everybody sees you around and says, well, William's he's going to die. But now William's kind of coming back to normal, but that doesn't mean that William's always going to stay normal. The disability that I have, there's no cure for what I have yet. And the only way I can explain it is, hitting your finger with a hammer, and that same pain is throughout your entire body 24 hours a day. And that's kind of, you've got to take a lot of different things, meditation, your diet. There's a lot of things that I've had to change, but I'm still learning too.
Okay, thank you. I've got a question then, and that is, and anyone can answer this, and that is, how much are you in charge of your own destiny, and how much of it is it that you can make your own reality? Oh, Casey, go ahead and
I'm like, I have an answer, but I think you're not talking to me.
Well, I'm talking to anyone.
Well, no,
go ahead, Casey.
You kind of, hit that on the head. I call it head trash, and we all have it. We all have head trash. The boy, I call them the nuns, the ones in your head that are always telling you that you can't, or it's no good, or you're no good, or pick one, or that it's a really horrible, terrible, bad day, and you need to go and climb under the bed. But I think that's where the choice comes in, and not everybody can get up and fight every day. There are days when each of us has to take a day where we have to go and we have to recharge the battery. Understanding that you are the one who needs to give yourself permission to take the day is key. And but also on the flip side of that is you have to understand when you're getting signals that you can do more and now it's time to go do more. But it really is it's a practice of mindfulness. There's a terrific, if any of you were serial podcast addicts, when the serial podcast, I guess it was 12 episodes. There's a new one by another NPR group. It's called Invisibilia. I think they have 3 episodes out. It's freaking awesome. I just listened to the first one on my walk today, and it's all about how thoughts can end up not ruling your life. There's ways past it, and I highly recommend the first Invisibilia, and probably the rest of them too. But it echoed for me because mindfulness really, it turns out to be the answer for everything.
I love that. I love that, and our self-awareness and what we choose, and it goes back to what you said, Casey, earlier, is You got to put your own mask on first. If you're not breathing, how can you do anything else? And I I like that a lot. That resonates so well. Anybody else? Okay.
Well, the other two are thinking. I'm just going to ask you, Casey, excuse me, Roxanne, Casey, to put a link to what you just said, if you've got it, in the comments.
I tried to put it in the comment tracker, and it told me the comment tracker thing says NPR.org is not a recognized source.
I'll tell you,
So
we'll make sure that. Got it.
We'll help you get in the right place. It's all good.
We'll make sure that there's a link in the event page for people to follow up, because that's
go put it over there now.
Series.
Okay.
Outstanding. Roxanne, I think I interrupted you. What were you going to say? And I apologize.
No, you said about destiny and what else?
Oh, okay. There's a two-part question. Destiny. One is, are you in charge of your own destiny? And can you make your own reality?
Well, neither, I think. I don't know. I don't think I'm in charge of my destiny, but I can help maybe plot it out, I guess. Because I tried to help my destiny when I had surgery, it didn't help. So I've been putting things off. It took me a while to get back to go to the doctor for my seizures. Just take medicine until finally I said, okay, play with my brain, see what you can do. I'll try any medicines. But after they got under control for 7 years, then I had that medicine changed by the pharmacy. Then they came back. Now went through, I don't know if you want to say withdrawal or whatever, but not being able to handle that destiny. Now trying to get talked into having something else done. Talking to a doctor yesterday when we tried to get in touch with each other, but they want me to do something else. So there's another plan that I have to make another decision on. So you never know.
You know, and the cool thing is there are so many things that we don't know yet about how our bodies work. We don't know yet about how our brains work. We don't know why we get this little guy over here, and sometimes we get this guy over here. Now granted, we know a lot, and we know a lot more than we did 10 years ago, and we know a hell of a lot more than we knew 100 years ago. There's still so much, because we're not the same creatures and beings that we were 10 and 100 years ago. Our species of human is also evolving, and so not only are we trying to learn more, we're trying to catch up all the time. And so it's really interesting to hear what alternative things might there be to help do this, whether it's a breathing technique, whether it's saying, you know what, all the cells in my body are new every single however many years, 7 years or 5 years or something like that. So how does that impact my thought process and how some of this goes forward? Or maybe there's something in my jaw, and the fact that all this stuff is what allows me to be in fight or flight mode. And the fact that most of us live in cities these days, and with all the stimuli all the time, we're always in that fight or flight mode. It's always activated. So how do we get out of that? And what does that do for our lives? And so it doesn't matter what our challenge is. It doesn't matter what we're trying to do. It matters that we're open, and I'm hearing that from each one of you. It matters that we know we have choices even when we don't think we do. We are making a choice, and I hear that coming from you guys too. And that our journey of moving through something may be fast sometimes, but it may be incredibly slow, because there's something in there, the gift in that. You know, I've heard them called blessings before, the lesson in the blessing. But I think there's a gift in everything, and it's the story that we need to confront in ourselves to really show up as who we are and actually fill up the shoes that we were given when we were born to be here, because nobody's been like us in the past, and nobody will be like us in the future. It is our gift, and it's pretty cool that we each have our own perspective to bring to that. So as we're coming up on the end of our show, I would like to take a minute to allow each one of you to again, tell us a little bit about you, any closing thoughts that you have, and where we can find you out in the big wide world of the internet, so that anybody that is watching this show and listening to it later can connect with you and reach out for questions or conversation, you know, because all of your coolness that you shared tonight. How about William? How about if you start?
I'll start. Okay. Well, you heard a lot from me tonight. There's a lot more that I'll be talking about in the future. I really had an opportunity, fantastic chance speaking about this today. I was a little nervous about coming out and talking about my pain, but no, worked out pretty well. You can find me on the internet just by typing William Rock. You can also type in William Rock chronic pain, William Rock CRPS, and you'll kind of find more detail about William Rock and the chronic pain side versus just the marketing side.
Okay, thank you very much. Roxanne?
All right. Well, you can find me here on Google, which is Roxanne Davenport, and I also write a blog. It's Only God Knows Why My Brain is Overfunctioning. It's an awful long title, but yeah. And I also write about other people with epilepsy. It's Lives with Epilepsy, because I want to let everybody know how they have overcome it. Certain people have, because it's amazing what some of the other people I've wrote about can do. If you read that, I could brag, but you need to read how some of those people, what else they can do with epilepsy. I mean, one paints just by feeling. He made him go blind, and he could paint by touch. It's amazing. One writes music after a seizure. Would anybody know that? I mean, I met him, I talked to him, and I wrote about him. I have to tell y'all. So it's Lives with Epilepsy. And what else? I'm trying to start a nonprofit, so just trying to get all the ducks in a row with taxes and stuff. So I did work for a nonprofit. No, not work. I volunteered with one, but I never did the taxes. So that's something I have to learn. So wish me luck with that.
Excellent. Lots of luck with that. And you've got a lot of energy and support coming your way. So thanks for saying it out loud so we can support you in that. All right, Casey.
Well, there's a lot of me out there online. I am ubiquitous. I never close. But you can start the breadcrumb trail at mightycasey.com. That's Mighty Casey, all mashed together. And I also am a disruptive woman in healthcare. I am a World Health Organization recognized patient voice in healthcare globally. And I will not shut up until they're flinging dirt on me, or actually sliding me into the oven because I'm going to be cremated. But I'm not shutting up until the lights go out. So go to mightycasey.com and follow the breadcrumbs.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I have learned a lot. It actually has my brain thinking and going in a lot of different directions, so I'm excited to sit down the next time I am in I have my creative time in terms of what I call my thinking time to really spend reflecting on our conversation tonight. For those of you watching, what a special treat tonight, and I am so excited. Jess plus Scott plus you Season 2 is about the supreme unselfishness, putting yourself first. And boy, oh boy, are we seeing how important that is when we talk about adversity and how we show up in our world. We're having thoughtful conversations with people passionate about business and personal development, and let's grow and learn and share our comments in the YouTube stream, in the comments stream, wherever you happen to be seeing this conversation. Thank you to Scott from the Scott Treatment, which businesses capture the potential and power of video through post-production. Find more at thescotttreatment.com. And I'm Jess Duell, working with business leadership that want to be so far ahead you're setting the standard in your industry. Let's connect at jessicaduell.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.